So I'm going to take advantage of this downtime that everybody has, this Corona COVID-19 slowdown or whatever you want to call it, to turn the Berry Chronicles, which is a blog that I launched in October about this crazy life story that I've had. I'm going to turn it into a video series so that everybody who hates reading and is going to be in home and locked down for an extended period of time can follow the blog in their preferred format, which for apparently enough of you, according to my Instagram votes, 32 of you have said that you would rather see this in video format. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to actually read the blogs from the top, and I'm not going to spoil any details for those of you who've not read the blogs yet, or those of you who are discovering it for the first time. So I will dive right in. This first blog is called The Day That Changed My Life. Each of us has a few days in the long view of our lives that transcend and shape us. The glowing smile of our better half standing across from us on our wedding day, the birth of a child ushering us into parenthood. There are also the days that rattle us to the core. The haunting, soul-shaking moments of 9/11 come to mind as we watch not one, but two iconic towers come tumbling and burning to the ground. I remember where I was on that day. I'm sure you remember where you were too. The images are locked there in crystal clarity in a mind that probably can't recall what it was fed yesterday. It's in the nature of our brains to remember the things that don't fit our routines, the irregular, the shocking. These events cause stress or excitement in a part of our brain called the hippocampus, where memories are encoded. Perhaps that's why you can't remember the call where you learned that your grandma had passed away, you can remember the call where your grandmother passed away, but you can't remember what you had for breakfast. In short, what shocks you shapes you. September 20th, 2017 is such a day for me, and it's now etched into my soul like the name Barry is tattooed to the inside of my left bicep. And here's where the story picks up. It's a Wednesday night. In Miami, a typically sticky evening. I've just finished a sweat-filled boxing session at my boxing gym in Wynwood, quite literally punching through tests of skill and stress. Tonight, the stress is palpable. Nearly 6 months ago, I'd done what 15 million other people have done before me. I spit into a plastic vial, capped it, and mailed it into Ancestry.com to learn more about my origins. My results didn't make sense when they'd first arrived 6 weeks later. They'd made even less sense in recent days. I'd become a research hound in the underbelly of the consumer DNA testing world. I've asked my parents for insight. Yet no one around me or on the internet can explain how I have wound up more than 50% Jewish, without any known relatives having Jewish heritage. Ancestry.com also revealed an unknown relative who's close enough to be an aunt, a first cousin, or a half-sibling. No explanation for that either. But yesterday, things became more clouded in mystery. This once unknown relative, her name is Morgan, and I had hoped to shine light on a situation that had become muddy for both of us. Given our DNA commonalities, she believed me to be a link to uncover the identity of her biological father. On Monday, we'd come across a website called gedmatch.com. We learned that if we both uploaded our raw data from Ancestry.com and onto this site, it would process it and let us know if we shared maternal or paternal DNA, and a common link being from our mother or father side of the bloodline would be revealed. On Tuesday, after 20 plus hours of processing, the answer to that was still unclear, but what was clear was the discovery of another stranger who shared as much DNA with us as we did with the other, a guy named Tom. Some quick Facebook stalking revealed something that hit me like a practical joke. All three of us were born in Rochester, New York, all within 11 months of each other. Which brings me back to tonight, September 20th, 2017. I'm walking out of the boxing gym. The satisfaction of having done well, in combination with the gravelly sounds beneath my sneakers, feels like a scene out of a boxing movie. It's quiet. The dim lights of the lampposts illuminate the street, with just a single building among its four corners. The hum of machinery winding down at a concrete factory is typical even for this hour, but there's not a sound tonight. It's not a Rocky II training montage, but something simpler, where the fighter learns that maybe there's something more to his story, more to what he's made of, after all. But then, my phone buzzes, and the moment is gone. I'm not a fighter anymore. More than likely, I'm just a guy who got an email from one of the hundreds of subscription lists I've ended up on. I slide my fingers into my pocket to retrieve the phone. Normally, it's a reflex, but at least the buzzing gives me a prompting that justifies the habit, if just for a moment. The screen lights up, and I can see who's reached out. The clock on the phone shows 7:03 p.m., and it's my dad. I click the green message icon on the screen to see his message. Call me when you're home. Immediately, silent alarms start clanging through my head. I think to myself, or you could just call me rather than send a message. That's how these devices work. But my father is a simple guy. He's a man of few words, and subsequently, also a man void of nuance. I pick up the phone to try him myself. "Hey," he says flatly. This is not a tell one way or the other. My dad's phone voice never gives an indication as to whether he's in a good mood or not. "Hey, saw your text," I reply. "Everything okay?" But I suspect everything is not okay, based on all of the discoveries from the past few days, discoveries I've shared with him and my mother. "Yeah," he says, but too quickly. Are you home?" I let out a nervous laugh. "No, your text said that too. What difference does it make?" But he's adamant that I wait until I'm home in a way that's not like him. He's telling me, "I don't want you to be in public or behind the wheel of a car when I tell you this, but everything's okay." There's a pang in my chest, and for a second I feel my body chill, even in 90-degree temperatures. I'm at the driver's side of my door, quickly sliding inside and firing up the ignition. "Dad, what?" "I have Bluetooth." I put both hands on the wheel. "What's going on?" He sighs, a hint of dread. If you've ever wondered how you'd feel to discover your father isn't your biological father, here's where the story starts.